Part 3. Okay, we went through the repeat patterns of odd and even. Okay, this data is, this section is just going to be more data. Okay, you have your numbers by position, the smallest, second, and the third number. Okay, this is sorted ascending, so this is a simplified set, and this is not as drawn. This forces the numbers to where they have to work to benefit us. Okay, 0 has been drawn 1,323 times as the smallest number, and that happened 10 games back. 1, 1,137 times, and that's 3 draws back. 2, 4 draws back at 866 times. 9 and 8, because the next numbers have to be larger. You're going to see with this, the larger the number, the less times you're going to see it as the first position. The second position, you're going to see a mixture of all 3 or all 9. Less on 9, less on 0. Okay, and third, you're going to see more times. The higher the number, the larger the number, the more times you're going to see it. So 2's about even. 3 and the first and the third is going to be reversed. More smaller numbers at the front, more larger numbers at the rear. This makes it so it has to work that way. Okay, now same as before, this ranks your numbers by position. So 0 through 9, same thing as you have up here. 0 is made up 26.47% of the draws at 1,323 times. Combined, 0 is made up 26.47% of the draws. 1 is made up 22.74% of the draws is the first number. Combined with 0, 0 and 1 is made up 49.21% of the draws. So that means that 0 and 1, if you'd played just 0 and 1 as your first number in a box combination, just to get your numbers to play as a box combination, you would have had your number correct right at 50% of the time. Including 2 in there, 66.53%. 0, 1, and 2. Same thing for the second position. You can look and see combined however much each number is made up of the percentage of the draws. Same thing with 9, or the third position. You can see 9 is made up 26. You have 9 is made up more drawings than any other number in any position, and that's in the third position. 26.93% of the draws. Okay, now if you look at these percentages and we go back to the input sheet, you see this area here. Okay, this says manual. That means you can change these. So if I want to, what this does is, for the first position, because this is set up to pick, it'll change automatically, or you can set it manually here. These are the cells you'll change in. For the first position, let's say I can go over here to the data sheet, and I look right here. Now let's say that I want to use 90% of the numbers only. That would mean that I've had my first number to choose from 90% of the time, and anything more than that I wouldn't want to care about fooling with, because I'm not worried about winning every single draw. I'd like to, but anyway, to get close to 90% and under it, it has to be equal or under it. Okay, I have 87.8% on number 4, so that means that 0 through 4 is made up right at 90% of the draws. Now if I go here and I change this to 90%, okay, the internal filters is only going to get 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4 as options to run through this. That means that 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 is getting cut out, and it's not going to be viable for an option. Okay, triple nines, I don't it don't happen enough to fool with. This can cut us down to where we're choosing less combinations per draw and still keeping around a 90% win rate, because this don't change. It's the same for every single draw. Every game, it's the same thing. I don't care what draw it is, what state it is. If it's a pick 3 and a pick 4, this works the exact same way. Okay, so I can change each one of these percentages to position. If I set number 2 at 100%, that means I'm getting all 10 numbers 0 through 9 as an option to run through the filter. If I set number 3 at 90%, then I'm cutting out 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0, which combined only makes up 13.58% of the draws, and 5 through 9 are making 86.42% of the draws. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 in the third position. So you can adjust this here by percentage according to this section, these orange columns, to determine the amount of numbers that you want to use through this to cut out even more combinations. That's up to you. You can leave it on manual or leave it on automatic, or you can change it to suit you. Okay, again, you have your lice 5, 10, 25, and 50 draws, and this ranks them. So I know that in the lice 5 draws, in the first position, 2 has been drawn twice, it's the most. 1's been drawn the most, or the second most at one time. 3 and 6 have all been drawn in the last 5 draws for the first position 1 and 2 times, and 0 through 9 has not been drawn in the last 5 draws in the first position. Same thing for the second position, same thing for the third. And again, you can see what I was talking about earlier. There's your 9 drawn the most. 10 draws back, 9 was drawn 4 times out of the last 10 draws in the last position. So that means you could have chose 9 as your last number 4 times out of the past 10 draws, and you would have had 9, you would have had your hit. Same thing for the up to 50 draws. This just gives you your data. So 4, 8, and 9, just like I showed with the rest of it, that the higher the numbers in the last, the more it's going to be drawn in the last position. The smaller the numbers as the first, the more times it's going to be drawn. You can see it. Okay, now this is the last 5 draws, and you have position 3, 2, and 1, 10, 25, and 50. Okay, now this is your repeats. Okay, this 12 that I showed where it repeated odd 12 times in a row, and it's only done that one time. I can look over here and I know exactly when it repeated 12 times in a row. It was game 2,328. Let's say repeated 7 times in a row. It repeated 7 times in a row odd 18 times. Go over here. Right here's the 18 times that it repeated odd 7 times in a row. And then you have the same thing for your even numbers repeating. So you've had 1 through 11 repeats for even. That means that it repeated either skipped, was even, skipped odd, or repeated even, exactly what you see here. And that should have this sheet took care of. Okay, now your hits on draws, which is your last sheet. Okay, these are all your combos. They're ranked. At the top you can see all 220 combinations of the base numbers. Okay, all these numbers down below, these are the draws that those numbers were drawn on. So a combination of 478 was drawn on game 4,992, 4,987, 4,904, and so on all the way down, and you can see where every single number what number, what draw game or draw number or whatever you want to call it was on. Now this main sheet, getting back to actually I'm going to stop this one, and this is all going to be one video, the final video on settings.